Emily had once believed her love story with Daniel was the kind that would last a lifetime, the sort of tale mothers told their daughters as proof that true devotion still existed. In the beginning, Daniel was everything she had dreamed of: attentive, kind, and gentle. A man who seemed to understand her without a word spoken. They built their life together in Winchester, raising their little boy Oliver, filling their home with laughter, and weaving memories into every corner of their modest house. For years, Emily carried the certainty that she was safe in Daniel's arms, but slowly, almost without noticing, she felt him begin to drift away. At first, it was small changes: his silences stretching longer, his absences from home explained with careless excuses, his eyes no longer meeting hers when she spoke of Oliver at school or the small joys of their daily life. She told herself he was simply burdened with work, that stress weighed on his shoulders, and that love, like all things, had seasons. But a whisper inside her heart told her otherwise, a whisper that became an ache too sharp to ignore. The truth arrived like a storm. One evening, Daniel stood before her, his face distant, his voice detached, and told her he had married another woman. Her name was Anna, younger, full of charm. Someone Daniel claimed brought him a new kind of happiness. Emily froze, the words cutting deeper than any wound she had ever known. She stared at the man who once swore to cherish her alone, her tears burning, her voice trembling as she asked, "Was I not enough?" Daniel looked away, muttering that it was his choice, his right, and that Emily should understand. In that moment, her heart broke, not only for herself, but for Oliver, who would one day realize his father's love had been divided. The days that followed were heavier than stone. Daniel came and went, his time split between two women, and Emily was left with the hollow remains of what used to be a family. At night, when Oliver asked why his father spent more days with Anna than with them, Emily had no answer. She held her child close, hiding her tears in his hair, praying he would never grow to believe that betrayal was a normal part of love. The house that once felt alive grew silent. The ring on her finger felt less like a promise and more like a chain. Emily knew that if she stayed, she would lose herself piece by piece, and Oliver would grow up watching his mother slowly fade into sorrow. So one morning, with quiet resolve, she packed a bag, gathered Oliver's toys, and walked out of the door that no longer felt like home. She sought refuge with her friend Margaret, who welcomed her with open arms and whispered words of courage. There, Emily began to rebuild, working at the local library, stitching together a new life out of broken pieces. Each day, she discovered a strength she had not known she carried. Each night, she reminded Oliver that love meant kindness, not betrayal. Slowly, her wounds began to heal, and the silence of her new life felt peaceful rather than suffocating. Meanwhile, Daniel discovered that the second wife he had chosen could not replace the steady devotion Emily once gave him. Anna was beautiful, yes, but beauty did not fill the emptiness left behind. His new life was noisy, but hollow, and the respect he once commanded in his community began to fade. Whispers followed him through Winchester. Some pitied Emily, others admired her courage, but many looked at Daniel with quiet disdain. He tried, at times, to reach out to Oliver, but the boy had grown wary, his trust fractured, his visits short and guarded. Daniel came to realize too late that his choice had cost him more than a marriage. It had cost him his family, his son's faith, and the love of the woman who had once built her world around him. Emily, though scarred, carried herself with dignity. She no longer looked for footsteps at the door or waited for apologies that would never come. She poured her energy into raising Oliver with strength, teaching him that loyalty is sacred and that betrayal should never be excused. She knew she could never erase the pain Daniel had caused, but she also knew She had transformed it into something stronger: freedom, resilience, and self-respect. In the quiet corners of Winchester, people told Emily's story as a lesson, a warning, and an inspiration. They whispered that when Daniel chose another, he lost far more than he gained. For a vow broken cannot be repaired with excuses. And the heart that walks away carries not only scars, but also the unbreakable courage to begin again.